The US and UK political relationship, it continues to headline the news this week. First, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer met with Donald Trump, which I think turned out better than anyone could have expected.
Prime Minister Starmer, you've been terrific in our discussions. You're a very tough negotiator, however. I'm not sure I like that, but that's okay. Very, very special person.
It's good to know that the United Kingdom has a true friend in the Oval Office. And it was so good to see the bust of Winston Churchill back in its rightful place.
The King has also invited Donald Trump for a historic second state visit to the UK. We understand that Melania Trump and the King remain in contact after Trump's first presidency, a fact which recently came to light in Melania's memoir. And since Trump has taken office, there appears to be a definite dialling up of the soft diplomacy by the royal family vis-a-vis the US. And I suspect we haven't seen the last of it. Joining me now is royal correspondent Sarah Hewson. Sarah, recent political developments between the US and the UK, well, they have been of definite interest to royal observers. The King's relationship with Trump has proved useful so far. So what do we know about Starmer's visit to the US and what's next?
Well, this was a really high-stakes visit, Caroline, for Sir Keir Starmer to the United States. And he arrived at the White House armed with his own trump card, if you excuse the pun, in the form of a letter from the King to President Trump, inviting him for a second state visit to the United Kingdom. Now, the first came during the reign of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. It is, as Sir Keir Starmer repeatedly pointed out, an unprecedented invitation to have a second state visit. And why this was a masterstroke? Because we know that President Trump is a big admirer of the royal family. He's an Anglophile and he likes to have his ego massaged. So he was very flattered by the invitation. He accepted that invitation. He described the King as a wonderful man, a beautiful man, and revealed that he would be coming for the state visit, but not just one visit and not just one invitation. The letter also revealed that the King was inviting the president to come before the state visit over to Scotland to visit him at either Balmoral, the residence in Scotland where the late Queen spent her final days, or to Dumfries House, the King's property there, to discuss the visit and to make it even more special.
Now, if that wasn't enough for this week, we also saw that fiery exchange between Trump, Vice President Vance and President Zelensky of the Ukraine. And it looks like the King and Prime Minister Keir Starmer were waiting to smooth things over. What do we know?
Yeah, it was all looking so good, Caroline, wasn't it? And Sir Keir Starmer coming out triumphant after that successful meeting in the White House, the invitation to President Trump. And then the following day, we had that bust-up between President Zelensky, President Trump, and Vice President J.D. Vance. And then many people were asking the question, is it really appropriate now for Britain to be rolling out the red carpet for President Trump after this? How does the King play this? Well, today, the King is going to be engaged in some more soft diplomacy, welcoming President Zelensky to his country residence at Sandringham. President Zelensky's in Britain now. He is attending a summit of European and Canadian leaders today. He'll be meeting the Prime Minister at Downing Street, but then travelling to Norfolk to have conversations with the King. And we know that the King is a big supporter of Ukraine. Last year, on the second anniversary of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, he talked about the indescribable aggression that Ukrainian people had been subjected to. And so this meeting, following on from that very terse exchange in the White House, will be very important to keeping Ukraine feeling that it has Britain's support.
And you've got the King engaging in this masterclass of soft diplomacy. Meanwhile, it appears Prince Harry has taken a veiled swipe at Donald Trump. Now, look, I'm sure that Trump probably doesn't care, but given the other things that are going on, it does appear a bit counterproductive. What's happened?
Yeah, this was really interesting. This was an investors summit in Los Angeles, and Prince Harry was unannounced as a speaker, but he got up on stage and he had said he had something very important to say. And he talked about power, morals and empathy being put aside for power and control. And he talked about a sickness of leadership in politics and tech. And this seen as a swipe at Donald Trump, at Elon Musk potentially as well in the White House. And he said, well, I could talk about all of this, but I'm not going to talk about it now. He talked about this being a very good time for it and it coming just 24 hours after that meeting at the White House. There's no love lost between the Sussexes and President Trump. President Trump recently revealing that he was going to allow Prince Harry to stay. He wasn't going to get too involved in his visa affairs. And he said he's got enough on his plate with that wife. I think she's terrible.
Yeah, but this is all very true. It has all been very interesting to watch, and we definitely have seen the difference between the professional and the amateur. Speaking of professional, this week the Prince and Princess of Wales, they cut short their holiday to visit a flood-stricken town in Wales. Now, look, we know they take their responsibilities in Wales very seriously, but they still looked so relaxed and relatable. What were the highlights of the visit for you?
Yeah, and actually, I think they're looking more and more relaxed. One of the things to come out of the Princess of Wales's cancer journey is that they seem to be more comfortable in showing who they are and affection. You saw them there holding hands as they walked through the station as they were leaving Wales. This was an important visit for them. Of course, they bear the titles, the Prince and Princess of Wales. It's the first visit they've made to Wales since October 2023 and the first big away day for them as a couple since Kate's cancer diagnosis. They went there, they were making Welsh cakes. We saw the banter between the two of them. There was even a reference to jam from the Princess of Wales, dubbed Jam Wars or Jar Wars, some calling it, because she revealed that she's got a plum jam recipe that she was happy to share with anyone. And of course, as you've been talking about, Caroline, we know that Meghan has her jam range going to be promoted to the hilt this week when her new Netflix show comes out. But a really important visit, and the Prince of Wales has been learning Welsh. He's been using an app, Duolingo, to practice his Welsh. We've heard him speak a few words before, but he has recorded a video message speaking Welsh pretty fluently, I think. I'm not the best judge, but for the very first time to mark St David's Day.
Now, I'm a dog person, so we've got some very important news from the Queen. Definitely a lighter note, a lighter touch of news, but it appears to have gone down very well.
This is the news we're all here for, isn't it, Caroline? Because Queen Camilla has a new puppy, an 8-week-old king. It's a Jack Russell Terrier puppy, but she says it's a bit of a mix of everything. She's called Molly, and she's adopted her from Battersea Cats and Dogs Home. She lost her beloved dog, Beth, towards the end of last year and was absolutely heartbroken. She has another rescue dog, Bluebell, and now she's added Molly to the family. And what a life for that little dog to be rescued from Battersea Cats and Dogs Home and find herself living in a palace now.
Now, lastly, and I've only got about 30 seconds for you, but the UK Telegraph is currently republishing its greatest interviews, and amongst that includes an interview with James Hewitt from 1999. What was so great about this interview, and how is it still relevant 25 years later?
Yeah, this was an interview published in 1999, 2 years after the death of Princess Diana, and it was to mark the publication of James Hewitt's book, In Love and War. And he was talking about his relationship with Princess Diana. She revealed her infidelity in that infamous interview on Panorama with Martin Bashir, revealed that she adored James Hewitt, but that he had betrayed her because he'd collaborated on another book. He then became the most hated man in Britain, the love rat. And in this interview, he talks about the impact that had on his life, his feelings towards Diana, the fact he felt that she'd used her as she'd used so many other people. But he was equally unpopular then for publishing this book just 2 years after Diana's death and seen as a gross intrusion.
And here we are 25 years later, still talking about it. Sarah, thank you so much for your time.